I have an injury at C6 and C7 of the cervical spine. My car aquaplaned on the highway. The memory of the accident itself was very clear, but afterwards it gets a bit cloudy. I don't really remember anyone talking to me, but the fireman said that, they were holding my head and talking me through it. I remember how I felt as a patient. I felt so disempowered and I felt so disconnected. Are you awake? I'm Dinesh, I'm the doctor looking after you. And I often try to remember that when I see patients in the emergency department. Can you sit up for me? I am a doctor at the emergency department at the Gold Coast University Hospital. Just take some deep breaths. We have the busiest emergency department in Australia at the moment, so we see a lot of patients. Everything from someone having a multi-trauma to someone turning up at 3 a.m. with a stubbed toe. Can I just have a look at your legs there? And it's just nice to be a part of a patient's journey and help them through, what might be the most catastrophic thing they've heard in their whole life. Any pain back here? It's a roller coaster of a job, but it's an amazing job as well. I think I have the best job in the world. My name is Dinesh Palipana. I've been a doctor for 3 years now, and I've been engaged in spinal cord injury research for, probably about 4. Both of those things, I guess, go hand in hand, and spinal cord injury is obviously a very personal thing for me. My mum always says that by helping one person, you may not change the world, but you'll change the world for them. It was really that kind of thinking that got me into medicine, because I thought, wow, that's how you can do that. The more and more I thought about it, I just thought, yeah, this is what I want to spend my life doing. And I got really excited about medicine, and I got into medical school. About halfway through medical school, life changed for me pretty dramatically. It was the 31st of December 2010, and I always used to go visit my parents who lived in the north side of Brisbane, every weekend or every couple of weekends. And on that day, I went up to visit them as well, and I was driving back. And it was dark and it was raining that day, so the road was wet. And my car slid off the road, mounted an embankment, came back down, and then started rolling nose to tail. And it was a really, really, really scary experience. When the car landed, I tried to get out of the car, and I just realized that I couldn't use my fingers anymore. And then I touched my legs and I couldn't feel them. And I knew what had happened. The guys that drove the fire truck said that they remember the accident very clearly, because I was one of the very few people that diagnosed themselves with what happened. But I think I was far enough in medical school to know that, it was a spinal cord, and this is a pretty serious injury. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. I had a tube down my throat to breathe. I had a tube down my nose. I had a tube, everywhere. I had a line going into my heart. There was a lot of supportive devices that were keeping me alive. And slowly, bit by bit, those came down. So, I just went to oxygen mask, and then to some nasal prongs, and then I was able to eat. So it took a long time to actually even get to this point. Dan.
Hey, buddy.
How you going? Good.
1, 2. Ooh.
Everything below my chest is affected, and my fingers as well.
1, 2, 3. All right.
My mum helps me out.
I'm gonna cut some fruits for Dinesh. mangoes and also a kiwi fruit. It was quite difficult to start with because we have a really awesome team with us, so yeah, that helped. I treasured him ever since he was born. I was always with him and I was always there with him. And I still am. He was a handful, but he was a beautiful boy. Yeah.
I was born in Sri Lanka, and it's a little island, the south of India. Sri Lanka struggled a lot. I mean, it went through a civil war that lasted a couple of decades. So it was a pretty hard place to grow up. My family just wanted to seek a better life. For me, generally, the memories of moving to Australia were really, really good. For a large part of my life, my mum's been the teacher and the person that shaped who I am. I think the love of a mum is like nothing else in this whole world. And she's always seen the best of me, even when I was behaving badly. She's got me out of trouble, and she's taught me so many things. She taught me how to drive, she taught me how to shave. And she's also given me the freedom and belief to go and do anything. You know, if I ever said, you know, I want to try this, she'd be like, okay, let's do it. So she's given me the attitude that anything is possible in this world, because anything has always been possible for her. She'd give anything a go. She's been so dedicated, and she gave up everything. She gave up her marriage, her career, everything to help me through this.
It's like a piece of kiwi fruit.
So she's just taught me so much, and she's been a really incredible person.
We had to readjust to life. We had to find different ways of doing things. And we got there, I think, towards the end. My mother was a very strong woman, so I learned a lot from her about life. She flew down from Sri Lanka when she heard about the accident, to support me. She came straight to the hospital, and because she adores Dinesh, her first grandson.
Yum.
So she put a suitcase down, she cried a bit. Then she got back into business. So when I was crying the first time, she said, "What are you doing crying?" You know, she yelled at me and she said, "You don't have time to cry now. You have to just find ways to support your child." Yeah, ever since he was born, I don't think I've ever left him. So yeah, we were quite close. Because there's nothing that I wouldn't do for him.
I never sleep with that one.
Yeah. At the hospital, they gave me the worst case scenario. They said Dinesh will never be able to even raise his hands. It will fall back on his face. Knowing Dinesh, I thought he will get up and go. I always had that in the back of my mind because I know he's quite strong. Around that time, we were actually quite stable in life. And then this happened in January. And we lost everything that we've built, and including my marriage. So, excuse me.
My dad might have found it a bit difficult at the time. He just kind of just drifted away and started doing his own stuff. I don't think that's a unique story. I think it happens all the time in situations like this. So yeah, I haven't really chatted to him. But I mean, I got my mom and I got my friends and things that I value so much. And you just make time for them. And yeah, the sad thing is I don't really think about him that much, so. I've lost some friends. I've lost some family because I think that's just natural when relationships of that sort get under pressure. Sometimes they don't survive. But then I've also got some really close friends that have only known me after the accident, which is kind of amazing to think about.
It's so true that people say you know who your real friends are. Some people deal with things differently. That's why they always think some people are there for good times, some are there for bad times, and some people are there for both.
It's taught me a lot about friendships and relationships, and I really, really value the ones that are in my life. There's a group of 4 of us, including me, that are still really, really close. I think those friends really, really, really played a big part after the accident. And even now, you know, like we all talk to each other about different things that are happening in our life.
Yeah, and he's through all of the kids' stuff now. Like, once the kids are like 5, 6, he can raise themselves. I've known Dinesh since I was 15 years old. Our friendship has gone from strength to strength. You know, we started as friends, we became best friends, we moved out together, you know, when we were 17. So we had that experience, we worked together. He was best man at my wedding. Go to bed early. We always support each other, you know, through everything. So whatever happens in our lives, we've always been there.
Don't even have to say.
Trust. When we were young, I mean, Dinesh was a fun-loving guy, and he still is. Before his accident, we always used to say he was the happiest man on earth. And it took a little bit of time, but he's getting back there now.
Working at McDonald's.
I was in hospital for close to 8 months, but every single day I thought about coming back to medical school, and every single day I thought about finishing this journey. But a lot of people told me that it's no longer possible as well. I'd finally found something that I want to spend my life doing, and it felt like it's almost been taken away from me. In 2015, someone forwarded me an email about a policy that was being drafted to potentially exclude people with physical impairments from studying medicine in Australia, and that was very hurtful to see that sort of attitude. I just didn't think it was a thing. I didn't think people thought that way. I had a scholarship from our state, which essentially guaranteed employment for 6 years in the state. But my application was taken out, and they said, you know, it's because you have spinal cord injury and we have to consider it separately. So it didn't matter that I was getting decent grades and I've done this and that, and yeah, it was taken out.
A 26-year-old female who came in with an inversion injury to the ankle.
You know, I had a lot of support from our university, the medical school, doctors. There were actually doctors from our emergency department where I was a student. They even offered to donate parts of their salary to fund my job. They're a pretty amazing bunch of people.
It looks pretty intact.
I couldn't really see any bony injury.
And yeah, what do you think management-wise?
I was just thinking rice advice and home,
Yeah.
and follow up with their GP if they have any further concerns.
Yeah, sounds good. Personally, Dinesh first came into my radar about a month or so before the intern year started, but our conversation soon turned to an issue that he was having around becoming employed as an intern. And then I always just make sure that I check the base of the 5th metatarsal. While I was overseas, I actually emailed our emergency department. I just wanted to canvass the opinions of my colleagues regarding where he was at in terms of his ability and his competence. I had an immediate response from people here, and they said, yes, he was an outstanding medical student. We would welcome him with open arms.
So what's been happening with Olive?
Oh, we started about Saturday night. He started vomiting, and then Sunday morning got up early and he was vomiting his guts up.
So Dinesh is currently a senior house officer, which means that this is his 3rd year out of med school.
I mean, most of these illnesses just sort themselves out over time. So the main thing is to make sure that there's nothing else going on. And then, yeah, it's just a matter of time.
From the time that Dinesh started here, his inclusion and involvement as an active part of our team has been close to seamless. I don't want to diminish or dismiss what it does take for someone with Dinesh's injury to work in a functional manner and in a fulfilling manner for him in an environment like this. However, it's been a smaller impact than one might expect.
Do you think you'd be happy to roll over for me? There we go. That's all right.
I have sensation in my thumb and index finger, so I can feel people's bellies and pulses and things from there. But I mean, I also have this grip, like just the natural way the fingers sit. So I can use that to grab my stethoscope and grab things and even write and gross movements. The cool thing about the ED is every day is different. And I really like that variety because you have to think about different things all the time. You know, it's a very people-oriented game, I guess. It just took a while for me to feel myself again. But I just felt like the accident has made me a much, much better person. It's probably given me more strength, more focus. I actually feel a lot more focused now.
And is our plan to admit him, did they say?
Yeah, he's
I definitely hope that this has made me a better doctor, because if you can show that, hey, you know, this can be done, and it can be done safely, and it can be done effectively and well, I think that starts to change minds.
Dinesh Palipana.
Read this quote, and it said that courage is not about the absence of fear, but it's just about facing your fear.
Congratulations. No worries at all.
And I think that's what I had to do. So I was determined. Yes, I was scared, but I just wanted to face that. I know one guy in Australia who'd been through medical school with a similar situation to mine. He had Guillain-Barré syndrome halfway through medical school as well. Hey. We're friends now because I reached out to him back then to talk about how he got through medical school with such an injury.
And then there was an email from that organisation that wanted to give some input as well, which I forwarded to you this morning.
Yeah, I saw that. I'll give him a call.
One of the things we realised is that medicine was a bit resistant to people with physical impairments. And I think historically medicine's been resistant to a lot of different types of people. You know, women.
Last year.
He actually showed me a quote recently, and it was something that someone wrote maybe 100 years ago.
Looked like a good group anyway.
He talked about something like women having puny brains and how they're unsuited for medicine. I was like, wow, that was the thinking back then. And you know, I think people of different ethnicities weren't as welcome in medicine. And so we've at least overcome those hurdles.
We managed to get through it, man.
But we realized, you know, physical impairments are not very welcome either. So we started an organisation called Doctors with Disabilities Australia. And the goal of that has been to open up medical education, medical employment and medical training for a variety of people.
Are you actually free for a call?
Got the truncated call.
Medical education is starting to work in different ways, thinking about accepting more students with, you know, diverse capacities, and just changing some of the national policies around these things. That's really where we're at. I think it's been fairly rewarding to be doing that.
Okay.
All right, see you, man. Bye.
If you don't really understand what someone else's circumstances are, I think it's fairly easy to be ignorant about what they can and can't do.
I was lucky that
Can I get the empty cup, Frankie? Thank you. And give him some water.
When I woke up in hospital, I was suddenly naked, like literally butt naked. Everything was exposed and everything had to be seen and everything.
Thank you.
So I was forced to become very public. It was really hard initially.
Shoes, yeah, let's do it.
But I think over time, you know, I've just become more used to it.
Feels alright.
Yeah, it was super challenging to let people know I love.
Still with the red laces, eh?
Yeah, man.
Bit of character.
Bit of character. Nice. Going from being a private person to choosing what you want to show the world to actually just being completely open has been quite an experience. I need to be up about 3 hours before I start work. But I wake up, have breakfast. It just takes a lot longer to do all that.
There he's right behind you with the coffee.
Actually, I wouldn't mind some sun. A bit of sun.
You know, so that was the difficulty with, you know, some of the rotations where you had to be there at 7 because that meant I had to get up at 4.
Hey, my beard goes a bit ginger.
Really?
Yeah. If I let it grow out a little bit longer, it just goes real ginger.
So we have 5 guys that just do rotating shifts. And they turn up and they just help me get ready, get to work. They help me out at work with certain things and then help me settle in at night. But we have a pretty good time.
In January for her birthday.
Oh.
So it's 7 nights on a cruise and we
Get that quiet. What?
Yeah, we all laugh and yeah, we just have fun while we do things. So it just feels like friends and family. And I think it's made me think about my values a lot more. Ever since the accident, I've essentially been single. And I haven't really had an interest in a relationship. But there's this nurse in our department that's just amazing. A little while ago, I ran into her in the corridor and I just thought, okay, I'll just ask her if she wants to hang out. And I did, and then we hung out and it's been amazing. She's just amazing. Meeting my girlfriend has changed something for me as well. Because I remember one night where, and it was really early on in our relationship, where I just, where we were sitting, she was sitting on my lap. And she just said, I wish you could just jump on the couch with me right now. I've always wanted to find, or at least contribute to a solution for spinal cord injury. And just looking at her and thinking about all the things I wanted to do with her just made me decide there and then that I just need to pursue this with everything that I got. You know, I was doing a lot of laying in bed in the early stages of my injury, and I remember seeing this study come out of Switzerland where they did a trial on some mice and rehabilitated them with electrical stimulation. And in all those mice, they found that they were able to use their limbs again and walk. It wasn't perfect, but they were able to do it. UCLA did a couple of studies, and lo and behold, the same effect happened in humans. So I saw that, and that was exciting as hell.
I'm gonna just place this on Dinesh's head.
And a couple of years ago, I met a guy who was also a researcher at Griffith. And him and I started talking, and we realized, wait, we could probably, we have the technology to put it all together.
What research has shown is that if you actually bypass the site of injury by using external devices such as a brain-computer interface to understand what type of movements and what you are trying to do. You can then send this signal to other devices. In this case, we have an ergometer and electrical stimulation of muscles to basically perform what normally your body would do. So, move and contract muscles. That's it. How does it feel?
Good.
Good, comfy. Yes.
So the initial phase of testing will be done on a thought-controlled bike. So essentially you think about cycling and you train your brain to that pattern, and electrodes stimulate your legs into cycling. And that has an effect on training the spinal cord again. So we're in the very, very early stages, but some of the really exciting things is actually even as simple as seeing your own brain waves translated into something. So that's really, really cool. We've already shown results around the world, so we're there. We just need to make it better now. One of the biggest problems with all this stuff is that the actual people who have been affected by spinal cord injury, they feel so disconnected from the actual science. They feel so disaffected, and I don't think that is really fair.
And the top speed, I think we set it to 25. Yeah.
This has been really good for me because I feel empowered now to try and drive some results for people like me who have spinal cord injury and hopefully deliver a really good result for them. There's a tremendous amount of hope, and I'm surprised at how many people say, don't get your hopes up. Life is nothing without hope. I am so lucky to be in the right place at the right time, with the right injury, with the right skill set. I've had so much time to think about life and how to live it. And there are a bunch of different things that are important to me, but I would think one thing that really resonates is that you have to find your purpose. And if you have that, I think you automatically get the energy to pursue it. It's probably how you live forever as well.